Welcome to the Young Hearts Run Free podcast. Jack Chamberlain, how are you doing, Jack?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you? How are you both?
I I am very well, Stephen.
I am good, thank you very much. Looking forward to our chat, Jack. So thank you
Good,
for making
good.
time
Looking
to
forward to
join
it
us.
too. Yeah, no problem.
Yep. We always like our guests to do a wee bit of an intro about themselves. There may be some people out there, Jack, who have never heard the name Jack Chamberlain.
Probably quite a few, I'd say.
So who is Jack Chamberlain and what's your running background, Jack?
Okay, so well, I live in Austria, and I've been here for about 10 years now. I originally came to do skiing, so I started off just doing winter seasons, ended up skiing instructing, and that was kind of my big passion for a long time. Got very, well, quite deep into that, I would say. And then at some point, I stayed for a summer, and one of my friends, he's from New Zealand, and he's called Crazy Dave or Kiwi Dave. Um, he was into trail running at the time, and so I was watching him. Each day we were actually living in the same house at the time, and I was watching him going out for runs, and he'd go out for a run and run like up to the top of the ski resort here, or run to the next village, and I was incredibly impressed by that. Even the next village, which is only 5K away, but I was like, oh, you run to the next village? Like, that's crazy. And before this, I'd done a bit of cross country in school, but in primary school. So I was only about 9 or 10 or something. And during high school, I lost touch with running completely. And so when I was seeing Dave going out running all the time, it kind of inspired me. And one day he just said, do you want to come with me? And I didn't have any running clothes. I didn't have running shoes. So I went to the shop that day, just bought some basic kit. We went out for a run. He didn't say what we were doing. Um, and we ended up doing what's called the Polven Trail, which is the third day in a 3-day stage race called the Tour de Tyrol. You might have heard of the race before, I'm not sure. Um, anyway, so the third day is a 23-kilometer mountain trail run around this mountain, and he took me round that course. So my first trail run in about 15 years or something, or the first time I ever went running since I was like 10, was a 23-kilometer run with 1,300 high meters with no food and no water. And so now you see why he's called Crazy Dave.
I love Crazy Dave.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah. Um, and although I was probably crazier for following him, but I didn't have much of a choice because once we started going, because you go around the mountain, you know, you've got to just get all the way around. There's not really, you can't really double back on yourself. You're going to do the same amount of distance anyway. So, so yeah, that was it really. And I kind of, I suppose it was quite inspiring to do, even though I was knackered after. It was quite inspiring to know that I just covered 23 kilometers immediately with zero training, which is, of course, not sensible at all. But I still did it. And then I think that probably lit the fire a little bit.
Mm. If you don't mind me saying, that's not an Austrian accent. Where do you hail from?
I'm from England, from Stratford upon Avon,
Okay,
Shakespeare's town.
okay,
Yeah,
okay, cool. Shakespeare meets Crazy Dave. I love it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I love
yeah,
it. So we're going to speak about some pretty long distances. That's what we're going to do. So from
yep.
that outing with Dave, what happened next?
Then I actually signed up to race the Polven Trail one year. I think that was probably, it was either 2014, 2015. Um, and I didn't really train. I probably went for a run, I don't know, maybe 10 times over that summer. So not proper training at all. But I did the race, and I did it in like quite quite a decent time considering, which is I did it in about 2 hours 24. The course record is 1 hour 45. So considering that I hadn't done any, like barely any training, I was like, well, that's not bad. So I must still have some, I don't know, either base fitness or just the fact that I just have the right kind of body composition for a runner. So I kind of thought to myself, well, I probably could be all right at this if I trained. So yeah, then I became what I would describe as like a seasonal runner. So I ended up running in summer, but then not running at all in winter. Because at that point, then from 2015, I opened a live music bar um, in the village. So I was very busy with that. So in the winter, I had no time really for running. So I just would get fit in summer, do one race maybe. Um, and then it wasn't really until COVID that I kind of got training properly because because the bar wasn't able to open. So I then just trained throughout the year and entered a few races and yeah, kind of started to improve considering I was actually training all year round. And then I entered in 2021 the as part of the Tour de Tyrol, which is the local race here. They did an ultra marathon. Normally it's a 3-day stage race, 75k in total, so 10k marathon, 23k on the third day. But on this year they decided to do a special and do an ultra, which is basically all three courses in one, so 75 kilometers. And I entered that and I won it. It wasn't very competitive at all, but it was still cool to win. And yeah, so I kind of just got more and more into it and gradually got better and better, and hopefully still am improving.
John, you ever won a race?
With myself, yes. No, I've never, in an official race where I've wore a bib number, I've never been that close to the front. No, that's never been my thing. What about yourself, Stephen?
Oh,
But you
no
know what?
chance.
I'm
looking for a non-competitive race that I could maybe win.
Race me, Stephen.
Sorry, Jack. On you go.
I have absolutely loads of respect for everyone who runs ultras, and particularly the people at the back of the pack, because I just think to myself, they're on their feet for so long. It's absolutely mad to me, and yeah, just respect for everyone who does it.
We often talk about, Stephen and I, if anybody's got any football interest, we'll speak about football, but live music bar. Music's a big passion of mine. Stephen likes music too. We're both big music fans.
Yeah.
Say a wee bit, if you wouldn't mind, say a bit about the live music bar. Was it like a 7-day-a-week thing? Or?
Yep, it was called the Jam Jar, and it was basically an après-ski bar, except non-traditional après-ski. So we had bands. We catered for the English and Irish tourists. So we'd have a different band every single day of the week. So live music 7 days a week.
And
yep.
so is it quite a happening scene then, if there's that many bands?
It was. The village has changed a bit now. And so we ended up shutting our bar just because the landlady basically didn't really want to do it anymore, because she lived in the same house above it. So you can imagine that could be problematic. And it was the same with another bar nearby. The owner also lived more or less in the same building. And so actually there were a few bars in the village which the bands used to rotate around. And Seoul was known for always having a really good live music scene. So we have loads and loads of regular guests who've been coming for 20, 30, even 40 years. And it's always had a good live music scene. But unfortunately, kind of in a small space of time, all the bars ended up shutting, apart from just a couple. And it's really quite sad because there's a lot less live music. If there's barely any compared to what it was before.
Is this a
So
result of
shame.
the pandemic? Is it a result of the pandemic? Was that the catalyst for it?
Not really. I mean, like one bar shut because the owner of the building wanted to sell it to be developed into apartments. One bar shut because the owner wanted to retire quietly. And that was similar also with our bar as well. We shut because the owner also just wanted more of a quiet life. and then that was just 3 bars in 3 years gone. And
That's
that
a
kind of,
massive impact, isn't
it's a
it?
massive impact on a small village, yeah. So it just changed the scene completely.
Couple of questions. Stick to music, John. We'll come back to music at the end. What's your favourite kind of music? What's your go-to?
I don't really have a favorite type, like a set favorite genre. I like a lot of different stuff. So I mean that can range. Um, it's just such a massive range. I like ska, reggae, rock, some pop songs, some classical songs, funk. I like it all. Just what's
Cool.
good. Yeah.
Let's come back to that at the end of the show. Can I also ask the other question about that live music bar thing? Were you still skiing then? You're saying you were training in the summer, but you still skiing in the winter?
Yeah, I skied a lot less when we opened the bar because I just didn't really have as much time. It just took up a lot of my time. So yeah, I skied a lot less. I stopped ski instructing when we opened the bar, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stephen, bring us back to running.
Yeah, yeah, I know, because otherwise we'll go for, well, we are called after a song, of course, aren't we? So to remember that a lot of people will stumble on the podcast and think it's a music podcast. So
Oh,
here
yeah.
we go, here we go. But yeah, let's get us back onto running. You have, so it's been, Austria has been your home for how many number of years did you say?
Yeah, about 10 years now.
Okay, so and that's where
10
you've
years
done.
I've been living here all year round. I was doing
Okay,
winter seasons even before that. So
got you.
yeah.
But you're running. You've no ran races in the UK. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, the only one I've done is the Arc of Attrition. Oh, actually, I did do the Isle of Wight Challenge. I didn't really do it as much of a. Yeah, I wasn't really trained. I didn't really race it. I just did it. But yeah, the Arc of Attrition.
Okay,
And Isle of
just
Wight Challenge. Yeah.
just the arc of attrition. Okay, so there is that on your CV.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in terms then, I mean, what's life like in Sol? You've got access to trails. I'm assuming
Yeah.
it's relatively close to the ski resort, so I'm assuming that there's some challenging terrain roundabout for your playground.
Yeah, I'd say the only thing that I don't have is flat. So which it can be a bit annoying sometimes. Um, so I've got like um, so I've got the ski resort, which gives me lots of I can get a lot of elevation gain quite easily,
Uh-huh.
and there's a mixture of trails and kind of gravel paths. Um, so that's good. So it's like the gravel paths are quite good for workouts. And then, but you've still got the trails as well. And then on the other side of the valley, there's the Wildekaiser, which is a proper like pointy mountain, let's say, not a mountain that you really ski on. So there's a lot of trails on there as well, but it's a lot steeper, rockier, proper alpine trails. So I occasionally go there sometimes to run, but it's a yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a faff. You can't get that many miles done because it's like really steep. It's proper
Okay.
alpine. But if I need to do some some training on very technical trails, then I head over there, for example. And then
I,
you've got quite nice flowing trails in the valley as well. But as I said, I haven't got really anything flat. There's like there's a bit of area that looks flat behind my house, except it's not. It's a horrible false flat.
oh,
So you can't really do intervals on it because you just doesn't work. But so if I want to get flat, if I want to do some flat intervals, then I have to drive down to the local town, which is like 15-minute drive. Then I can run next to the river.
Painting a brilliant picture of where
I
you
know.
live.
Yeah.
I've got Strava heat maps on, and I'm
Oh yeah.
already plotting this journey that 15 minutes ago I hadn't even thought I'd ever be on.
Yeah.
Of, do you know, exploring and that sort of wilding kind. I did. Okay, full disclosure, I was looking at your Instagram, and you've
Yeah.
got some great pics of that. And
So
I think there's a race round that massive as well. Is that right?
the one that goes around the Wildekaiser, you mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the Kaiser Krone. Yeah, that's a really fantastic race. Very hard, very technical. 50 the marathon trail, or it used to be called the marathon trail. It might be called the long trail now. But anyway, it's 56 kilometers and like almost 4,000 high meters. Very
Okay.
difficult race, but cool, really cool.
Anything called the long trail You've got to be kind of crazy to take that one on, but that's okay. There's a lot of crazy
Yeah,
people. You mentioned flat, Jack. Does flat appeal to you as well? Where I'm going with this, have you ever done like a road marathon type stuff? Is it all trail stuff you prefer?
I've never done a road marathon, and I think I would probably. I think I. The thing is, if I wanted to train for a road marathon, I'd have to always drive to somewhere flat to do the intervals,
Mm-hmm.
probably. And I think I might find that just a bit annoying. Like I like leaving my door, just leaving from my door and having the trails right there. Um, there's a part of me that wants to do a flat marathon just so I can have a marathon time. Just when because people ask sometimes,
Mm.
they say, "Oh, what's your marathon time?" And I'm like, "Well, actually, I literally have no idea."
Mm.
So, uh, I mean, I have some ideas of what I think I might be able to run a marathon in, but that doesn't mean anything. Um, so maybe I'll do it one day to tick that box. But as it stands, I can't be bothered to drive every day to go to somewhere flat to do the marathon training.
That's
So
cool.
it's not on my priority list, let's say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so unless we convince you otherwise over the next hour or so, a marathon's out, okay?
All right.
Right. So ultra marathoning, and then that sort of realization, that's what I'm hearing anyway for you, Jack. Realization that I'm actually not bad at this. And we were talking, what, 4 years ago or so,
Hmm.
just as we were coming out of COVID. Is that fair
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
timescale when races were coming back?
I think 2019, 2020 was the first time that I trained all year round.
Okay.
Yeah,
Relatively speaking, that's not that long ago, especially when
yeah,
you get
yeah,
to John and I's age. So
yeah,
that's just yesterday almost.
yeah,
A
yeah.
lot's happened in between for you in terms of your running and your performances, and kind of getting that. I don't know. You must have had a foundational fitness, but whether it was from your winter sport background that was there, a natural talent as well, obviously, because we didn't really see people just hitting up start lines and doing quite as well as what you've just articulated, Jack, without some form of base foundation fitness, etc. But where I'm going at, when did you then get serious in terms of a coach? Were you coached from early days?
No, I got a coach just before I won the Mozart in Salzburg. So that was 2000. Yeah, it was 2024. So I met Robbie
Uh-huh.
when I did the Cat 100, which was 2023.
Yeah.
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 And basically that was my first 100 miler. So
Okay.
I'd had a look at the start list to see who was on there, and I saw that Robbie was there. He's also an ambassador for Precision Fuel and Hydration, which I was then and I am now. And so I kind of thought to myself, oh, okay, maybe he's a good person to like just hang out with in this 100 miler. It's my first time running, and I kind of looked up his results and thought he's probably going to be, competitive but sensible. And so I thought I'm gonna maybe I'm gonna like stick to Robbie.
Uh-huh.
And actually, that's exactly what I did during the race. And me and Robbie ran pretty much the whole race together until the last couple of hours, and then I uh yeah then I ran away a bit. I feel bad now.
Robbie wouldn't feel bad.
No.
No, not at all.
uh, but yeah, so we just had a really good chat and a good adventure, and because I didn't really treat it like a race at that point. I just sort of it was like going for a run with a mate, except I'd never met Robbie before. So then since that point, then I'd occasionally ask Robbie for advice about various things, just occasionally, and
Hmm.
he was happy to do that. And then Catalina, oh yeah, that was it. Catalina bought me 3 months of coaching for my birthday with Robbie,
Right.
which was a really cool present. And then when I got to the end of the 3 months, I kind of just was like, oh, this is a bit weird to stop now. So then I just carried on.
It's like that Spotify trial.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Robbie. We're speaking about Robbie Britton here, just in case there's
Yeah,
any
Robbie
Dubai.
Britton, yeah.
Who's a couple of previous guest slots on the show, so he's
been
most
on,
of
has
our
he?
listeners. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been on. It's the first time I've heard anybody call him sensible.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? What I think about Robbie is you're out for a run with Robbie, and you both, what were you, 23 hours together, before you dropped him. But you probably only have to ask Robbie one question in that time, and then he just goes, man. But he's so knowledgeable and
Yeah.
so happy to share his knowledge, and he also articulates things in a way that, well, I can understand them. You know, he's very good at getting his message across, but also his brain is amazing at the stuff that he's really interested in, the science behind everything, you know, and he's really, really happy to share it. So to be coached by Robbie, I would understand why after 3 months you'd want to continue with that. He's a great guy, Robbie. Very good friend of ours, actually. Well, we call him that. He might say different. But so say a bit about what Robbie's brought to your running, because finishing 5th in that Cat 100, that's a fantastic result, Jack. So what's Robbie brought to your game since then?
Well, he brought structure for one. So first of all, I mean, I was doing intervals, maybe once a week, and I wasn't really sure, like at that point, what I should actually be doing. So he gave me, proper structure, because it's pretty hard if you've never had a coach. There's so much information out there. There's so many different sets of intervals that you could be doing, and it's a lot to wade through if you don't have that information. So he just brought me structure, and it was also very nice to have a plan each week, so that I don't need to think about that. So I can look at the plan, because it's quite difficult, because I've got 2 kids as well, and I have to think about what Catalina's working, my partner Catalina, and that I've got to fit my training in around whatever's going on. And at that time, I was also a full-time professional musician. But it was nice to have, first of all, the plan just written down, so that I can look at the plan and then I can say, oh, Catalina, okay, this is the plan. And then we can just work around that. And like, probably I was making many training mistakes, which a lot of people would probably do, the sort of thing like, if you're ill and you miss half your week running, then try and cram all the running in at the end of the week and things like that, which I'm sure a lot of people are guilty of. But it's great having a coach, because it brings you, it's someone that cares about you, but is objective, and will often rein you in and help you make sensible choices in training. So that's a lot of the time, other than just making the plan and giving me the intervals and whatnot, that's only a small part of it. And then what Robbie was doing was, when I was asking him questions, giving me the information, and just making sure that I was doing everything sensibly. And I've taken his coach, 'cause I wouldn't have been able to be a coach if I hadn't been coached. I've learned my coaching from Robbie. And it's not that hard. It's not rocket science, but yeah, I feel like Robbie's a very good coach, and I've learned a lot from him, and I'm trying to pass on his coaching philosophy into my coaching now, and I see exactly where I was going wrong, and how he's helped me and put me more on the right track, and now I can pass that on to others as well.
Can I ask something about the coaching? And it's about relationships.
Yeah.
And it's apparent, the way that you're talking, we can tell, that there's a fondness there between you and Robbie, and a bit of chemistry or something. As a coach now yourself, having that chemistry and being on somebody's wavelength,
Hmm.
how important a aspect is that in that sort of coach-athlete relationship?
Well, I think you've got to just feel comfortable in that relationship. I think that's the main thing. So, I mean, I'm from a coach myself. I'm trying to make my athletes feel comfortable. I want them to be able to ask me any questions, and I don't want at any point to make them feel like it's a stupid question or anything. It can be sometimes that they ask me a question that the answer might be obvious to me, but it might not be obvious to them, and it's fair enough, isn't it? So so I think it's just very important, and people are different. You know, there are some people that really need a lot of information, a very high detail people, and that's what they need. And there are other people that are a bit more yeah, you can kind of give them the plan and they'll go and do it, and they'll have very minimal questions, and each athlete's different. And I think as a coach you've got to adapt to, a big part of it is adapting to their personality, I would say.
Thank you.
How do people, if they want to suss out Jack Chamberlain coaching, how do they find out about Jack? Is it you got a website or
I haven't
contact
got a
details?
website. I've only got Instagram at the moment.
Okay.
So that's how I've got my athletes so far. I'm
Have
coaching
you got space? Have you got space?
I've got space. Yeah, I'm coaching 6 athletes at the moment. So
Okay.
yeah, I've got space. Yeah.
Cool. So people will know your Instagram handle by the time we're done,
Yeah.
but we can add that in the show notes as well. Stephen, sorry.
Yeah. Sure.
I was just going to clarify, coaching, is it exclusively trail running, and is it sort of that's your subject matter expertise, obviously, and you look at your own career.
Yeah.
So people come to Jack to get coached on running an ultramarathon.
Yeah. Yeah. Trail and ultra, I'd say. Yeah, that's my thing.
Okay, doke. Instagram, and it's what Jack Boy Run on
Exactly.
Instagram
That's the one. Yeah.
for anybody. Expect a flurry of followers at the very least, Jack. You
That
might
would be nice. Yeah.
you might get 2. You've just got a couple there actually.
Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah.
Um, where to go with this? I want to speak about the Mozart one because there was only 10 months between the Cat 100 where you finished 5th and then winning the event outright, the Mozart 100. So that 10 months, I'm not wanting to give away any trade secrets, the stuff between you and Robbie, but what was the difference? What was the preparation like for the Mozart?
Well, actually, I was self-coached until the Mozart. So I got Robbie just before the Mozart, but I think it was literally 2 weeks before. So he said, you know, pretty much we're not going to change anything now. He just left me pretty much to my own devices for those 2 weeks in the taper.
Okay. Well, let me ask a different question. Let me ask a different question. 2023, Mozart 100, you finished 3rd.
Yeah.
24, you win it outright. What was the lessons learned? What was the difference between that year?
It was a mental attitude, I think. I mean, obviously, you know, there's going to be a year of fitness there as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like every kilometer you run is in your legs. You're always on a macro level generally speaking, if you keep training, getting fitter. So that's one thing. But mentally, I had a very different attitude on the start line because when I came 3rd in the Mozart, I was like, oh, maybe, you know, I don't really know how good I am. Maybe I can top 10. Yeah, entered with that attitude. And then at some point, maybe it was at the 50k mark or 60k mark, I can't remember, but I came down to an aid station and Catalina said, you're in 5th. And I didn't actually realize that I was in 5th. So I'd somehow like overtaken people, whether that was at aid stations or whatnot. Or the thing is with the Mozart, you're often mixed in with other runners from different races. So occasionally it's hard to tell, who's in your race. So I was then surprised to find out that I was in 5th. And then I was like, oh, okay. And Catalina said, and you're also only 6 minutes back from 4th place. And, you know, so that got me going, and I started just picking up the pace, and then found 4th place, found 3rd place. But when I went to the Mozart in 2024, so there were 3 elites, I guess, on the start line. 2 less well known, but still with ITRA scores in the 800s, mid 800s, and then there was Dylan Bowman as well. And I was like 12th favorite probably in terms of my ITRA score. But basically, I just decided that I'm just going to stand on the start line and just act like I can win the race. And I just threw imposter syndrome outside of the window, out of the window. So I just went in with that attitude that I can win it, and and that's what I did. And it was the first time in a race that I made a decisive move on the others. So we were all together in a pack, and we were going up a climb. I think it was about between 25 and 30k, let's say, something like that. We were going up a climb, and it was like quite steep and technical in the terms that there's lots of roots and stuff on the floor. And if there wasn't roots all over the floor, you'd probably run it. But because it was a bit technical, everyone was hiking. And I kind of I had that thought to myself, and I was like, you probably can run this if you just sort of tiptoe between all these roots everywhere. So I just decided to just, put on a little bit of a spurt and just run to the top of that climb. And then no one followed me. And then it kind of like leveled out onto this flowy bit, and I just kept looking behind. They still didn't follow me. And the next section was a downhill, and it was really extremely wet. It was raining, like torrential rain the whole time. So the conditions were awful, like extremely slippy, and that downhill is very muddy and steep. And I ran it with my poles, so a bit like skiing style, 4-wheel drive with the poles. And I'm not sure what they did behind me, but I think I basically made a gap on that downhill, probably by doing the 4-wheel drive pole technique. And then I just
trademark
kept the gap. And then Catalina said, "Okay, you've got like a 10-minute gap." And I didn't really build it until the end. Build it any further until the end. I just kept the 10-minute gap and just ran it in.
So were you on your own then? 25 to 30k, it's 105 kilometer race. Were you on your own then till the end?
Yeah.
How does that feel? Were you feeling, because you're saying you've shaken off that imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
Here you are, pole position. How did that feel in your head?
Oh, it felt really good. It like fueled me, I would say.
Yeah.
No, it felt really good, and I felt like it was a good position to be in, and I was always running scared because I was like, technically those people behind me are on paper better than me. But I just was kept sort of believing, I'm meant to be here. Let's go.
And when you hit an aid station, were you in and out of? Did that also drive you to be in and out of aid stations before you seen sight of them again? Was that?
Yeah. I would say like I'm always trying to be fast at aid stations anyway. But funnily enough, I had a rest time on the UTMB website. You can look this up, but the rest time I think is less than it's either less than 2 or 3 minutes, or it's very little over 5 aid stations. Might be even less than 2 minutes. I can't remember. You can have a look on the website. But we were fast basically at the aid stations, and Catalina is particularly efficient. She's just a very efficient person in general, I would say. So we're just in and out like Formula One pit stop. But funnily enough, actually, at the first aid station, I had to change my shoes because I was in these North Face shoes, and the North Face shoes, you've got to glue the insole down. I didn't know that, but if you don't glue the insole down, then it can crinkle up when they get really wet. Yeah. So the whole insole on both my shoes had rolled up and gone on my toes. So I was like running with no insole. Yeah. So I actually called Catalina while I was running to say, get the other shoes out of the car. And I had a pair of Solomons, And so that was before I'd taken the lead. So we'd all come into this 20K. We came to the 20K mark together. Everyone else was really quick, got out of there immediately, and I had to change my shoes. But it was good really, because I was in quite high stack height carbon plated shoes at first with not that much grip. And then I swapped to the Solomon S-Lab Genesis, which is a bit more of an all-rounder. It's got a bit deeper lugs. It's a bit better on technical terrain. And I remember the feeling of then having those shoes on. I mean, it was obviously already nicer because the insole wasn't crinkled up. But just being on the technical terrain, I suddenly felt really nimble. So that kind of, because I had to spend a bit of time catching up with the other guys, which I did. But then when we were together on that technical ascent, that's when I kind of felt, my feet feel really good now. And these are much better shoes for the conditions. And that's when I felt like I could tiptoe over those routes.
It's almost like it was meant to be, because that
Yeah.
was a factor, obviously. I do remember that torrential year, and I think it was because Dylan Bowman was there. Dylan's been on the podcast before, Jack as well, and it would have been around about that time, I think, John, that Dylan had done that race. So, and I do recall the footage and stuff, and it was just an absolute washout. But
it was.
It sounds like you adapted best to the conditions and made the decisive move at the right time. So
yeah, I think it played into my hands a little bit.
This sounds like a silly question to me, but I think I'm going to ask it anyway, because the only silly question is the one you don't ask, John. Ascending or descending? You sound very confident in both, Jack. Have you got a preference to either?
I think I'm a better descender probably than I am. Yeah, I mean, I like in the ultras, I like it when it's steep enough to hike. I would say I'm not the best ascender for like runnable uphills, I would say.
Okay.
I mean, I do my best, and I'm getting better, working on it. But yeah, I'm probably better at like the steeper hiking. And yeah, I like the descents, I would say.
I would love to see that 4-wheel drive with poles, man. I would love to see that happening. You going down there, I would love to see that.
It's a really good skill to have.
Yeah, so and you take that from skiing, that confidence.
I guess so, probably, yeah. I think so.
Yes.
Slaloming.
Maybe in that one, because of the rain. Poles is a subject that we touch on now and again. What type of poles do you use?
Lecky poles.
And I'm a wee bit obsessive with poles now. Poles and socks. What height are your poles? You're a big tall guy, aren't you?
Yes, I'm 182.
Okay.
182 centimeters. And I use 130 poles.
Right, okay. So
that's 5 centimeters longer than Lecky recommend.
Right, okay. Yeah. But that's for getting the drive. Is that what that's for?
Yeah. I mean, with the longer pole, you can push back for a little bit longer, I guess. Yeah. I have been considering what it would be like going up another 5 centimeters, but I have just recently bought a new set of poles, so I don't feel like I should buy another one now at a different size. So, yeah.
They are as expensive as shoes, aren't they? They are as expensive as shoes.
They are. And actually, on the point of long poles, if you have longer poles, you can also use them more easily on the descent. Because the way to use them is to lean forward, and you can basically reach out. You can reach out and down with the poles. And if your poles are quite short, then it's harder, but you can hit the ground quicker, obviously, if you're let's say your front feet. If you want to call your poles that, if you're going like 4-legged, then you can be pretty nimble like that, I have to say, if you practice it a lot.
And on the back to Mozart 100, because John has gotten right into his poles recently, Jack, I must say. So he does spend a fair. I'm usually into the trainers, but we've covered that already. Thanks for letting on to see the North Face ones. Once you've sussed out the fact that you do glue the insole in, decent
shoe, yeah. The
Yeah.
the Vective Pro.
Yeah.
I had the Vective Pro 1 and 2. I haven't had the 3.
Okay.
It's good shoe. Yeah, really like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, covering
Yeah.
my needs there.
Yeah.
Can we talk about socks?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah.
Because socks is a thing, and it's really. We spoke recently with a guy, Ian Dick, did the Cape Wrath Trail here in Scotland, and he went down a rabbit hole with socks. We're talking about normal socks, mid-cushion and cushion, all that sort of. What's your preference of socks? We've also had people on who said just go to Sports Direct and buy whatever's the cheapest.
Oh, don't do that.
No, what's your thing?
No, I've been using Stance socks.
Okay, Stevie's a Stance boy.
Yeah, and they just work for me. So yeah, I've always just, if I find something that works, I'll mostly stick to it. Although to be fair, I've heard good things about Moggins. Because I'm a Trailskin ambassador.
Yep.
And Dave from Trailskin told me that I should try Moggins socks, but I haven't tried them yet. So yeah, I'm up for trying, but
Yeah.
It's coming up Christmas, man. Moggins
There
could
you
be
go.
on that. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Stance designs that gets me, you know.
Oh yeah, you go for the flashy designs.
Yeah, I like anything, you know, kind of match in with the trainers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
It's all about the complete look, innit?
Yeah.
So yeah, but also beyond that, they're good socks.
Solid. They're solid.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't go wrong.
From socks then to what's in the socks? How do your feet cope with these sort of very up and down races? Have you got a foot care thing that you do before?
Well, I have now, because I've become an ambassador of Trailskin. And I have to say I really, really like the products. They work very well.
Say a bit about Trailskin, please, Jack. Say a bit about it.
Yeah, okay. So I've only been using them. So I became an ambassador just before the Mozart this year. And yeah, they've got the product that's the trench foot, which is like kind of the nappy cream style one, which is a moisture barrier. So stops you getting trench foot. And then they've got the anti-chafe cream, which then you put between your toes or wherever else you want to put it. Which
under your arms.
Keeps places lubricated. And then another product they have, which I really like, is that they've got the Revival Balm. So it's basically you can put it on your feet after training. So because what you need to do is you need to get your feet hardened by doing a lot of running, but you don't want the skin to get dry and dead. So you want that kind of like flexible leatheriness. So like flexible leathery toughness. So if you look after your feet during training and in the lead up to the race, then your feet are going to be less prone to blistering.
Flexible leatheriness. That's a fantastic
flexible leatheriness. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can quote me on that. So I feel like it's like a prehab thing. Not only just the stuff using the products in the race, but that prehab thing I find is particularly important, keeping your feet just very healthy.
It's a massive topic. I mean, how many people foot care and foot that rehab stuff? How many people are going out and trying to avoid getting blisters and avoid getting trench foot, and they're trying all these different products? So if you've got one that you're an ambassador for and that you're saying that it works, then brilliant. I've never heard of the BAM before. There's lots of people when people speak about sex lube, we've heard people speak about fleecy web, we've heard people speaking about trench and all these different sorts of stuff, flexitol and all that sort of stuff. But if you've got something that, I suppose it's one of these things, isn't it? It might work for you. You've got to try it and see
Yeah. I think it would work for most people, though. I mean, it just seems to be designed very well. I can't imagine how it wouldn't work for someone. But it's a very good product, and I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, that's a new one on me, Trail Skin. So just
Really, yeah.
check
I
it out
think
there.
I think it's gonna get more popular because I hope it'll be the new the UK version of what's it called? Squirrel's nut butter. You know how Squirrel's nut butter is the
Yep.
one that everyone buys in America.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I've tried to buy that before, and you can't really get it shipped properly here economically.
Yeah, they
So
do.
trail
Whack.
skin is the answer in the UK, I would say. Yeah.
You heard it. You heard it here first. Brilliant.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. No, I highly recommend. Yeah.
10% off your first order.
Yeah, there is. I think there is that something. Are you looking at the website now?
Yeah, I was looking
Yeah,
at the website. Yeah.
Okay.
Quote, run Jack boy, run boy, run boy. For
Yeah.
9% off. No, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
No, it's piqued my interest. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Yeah. No worries.
And then, okay, let's get back onto the actual the trails.
Mhm.
The Mozart 100, that was, you know, the pinnacle at that point as such in terms of first place
Definitely.
podium, pretty stacked field. Was you spoke earlier on about coming first in the field not being too competitive. The Mozart 100, that isn't the case. We know that. Did that then breed confidence to kick on? Did you do the UTMB that same year, 2024?
Yep.
Yeah.
Did UTMB in 2024? Yeah.
And was that your first experience of the UTMB races in Chamonix?
Yes, it was.
Enjoyable experience in 2024?
Well, I was ill the week before the race,
Okay.
so I'd had a really good training block, and then I was basically ill with some kind of not quite flu, but something heading in that direction. Um, I'd had temperature and just a headache and a bit of a cold and not good for the week before. So
No.
basically, I was communicating with Robbie during that week, and we decided that the best thing to do is to not run and just try and recover.
Mm-hmm.
So for up until the race, I literally didn't run for a whole week.
Okay.
And even then, on the day of the race, I still woke up feeling quite shit. And then I think I also got. I think I was mostly better, but through stress, I think I then got a migraine. I suffer from migraines, so I think that was actually separate from the illness on top of it. So I had this just like horrible, really extreme headache, migraine. And then my mum was there in Chamonix, and she gave me a head and neck massage. And because often, like when I get a migraine, it's tension in the neck. Something needs to be like released. So she gave me a head and neck massage, and then I went to bed in the just after lunch, and just tried to sleep it off, and woke up around, I don't know, 4 p.m. or something, and kind of thought to myself, okay, I'd taken paracetamol as well. Okay, the headache's gone. I feel okay. I can maybe head to the start line. So it was a weird start to UTMB, for sure. Yeah. Where do you want to go from there?
Well, despite that, you ran the race. You finished the loop. To me, if you hadn't told me that backstory, I would be thinking, do you know what? For a first bash at that particular challenging trail, it was a solid effort. But obviously, that maybe didn't play out quite like that because of how you were feeling beforehand or during it, indeed. But it looks like you managed a solid debut.
I was definitely proud of that result considering the whole situation. Because like the first 30k, I've never felt so bad in a race, and my heart rate was just so high, it was unbelievable. It didn't drop below 160 until about 45 kilometers into the race.
Okay.
What changed? What changed there though at that bit for your heart rate to come back?
So basically, I think first of all it was because I still had a temperature on the day of the race. I mean, very low grade temperature, but it was like 37.4 or 5 or something like that. So just a bit, a bit of a mild temperature. So I think my body was just first of all just a bit shocked because I'd just spent a week not running, being ill, and so I think it just kind of wasn't ready to run. And also the crowds in Chamonix are just so unbelievably intense that I think that spikes the heart rate anyway. But just those two things combined, and I just felt really bad because as I said, my body wasn't really ready to run. And I got to Le Contamines, and Catalina told me after the race that she's never seen me look like that in a race. She said I was very pale and sort of just red a bit around the eyes, and she said I had the face of someone who was about to DNF. And she's used to, at that point I'd never DNF'd a race, so she was like, she knows that face on other people, but she doesn't know that face on me. And I at that point, and I was like, I told her, I was like, I feel really bad, and she was like, well, just get to Courmayeur, which is, as you know, another 50 kilometers. So just taught me into doing another 50k, and then once I got into the mountains and away from the crowds, so the adrenaline then wore off because people weren't shouting in my ears, and then I think my body just kind of was like, okay, we get it now. We're running. So just kind of accepted the situation. And and I guess because I felt bad at the beginning, I probably went a bit slower than I would normally go at the beginning of a race, because I was trying to get my heart rate down, because I kept looking at my watch and being like, this is crazy.
Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, exactly. So I was purposely like slowing down to try and just get it down, but it just wasn't really working. So I was running at paces that normally I'd be running at like like an normal easy pace. I'd normally be like 130 BPM, and it was 160 to 170, and I just couldn't get it down. But probably because of that, I had a very easy start on my legs. So I was about 100th position at Le Contamines, and then I just kept soldiering on through, and gradually just was overtaking people for the whole race, all the way up to the end, really. And yeah, then the downhills were very hard, and I think that the fact that I had a week off running might have played a part into that a little bit. I feel like if you don't taper properly and you just stop running, then your legs kind of just go to jelly a little bit. So the downhills were very hard. But yeah.
Well, you must be really proud of that result, though.
I am very proud of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sub 24 hours, finished 25th overall. So you've picked up 75 places.
Yeah.
On that terrain in that event. That's quite magnificent debut.
I was pleased. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. It was. Yeah, I'm proud of that. Yeah.
Yeah. What did Catalina say at the end?
What did she say at the end? I'm just Catalina. What did you say at the end of UTMB in 2024 to me? I can't remember what you said. What I remember is telling my mum that I might be sick on her.
We never knew until this moment that Catalina was in the same room as you. We should say that. But
no, she is. She's
yeah.
She's being forced to watch TV on one of my daughter's tablets with headphones.
Okay.
So that I can sit here and do this with you guys.
Well, we very much appreciate that, Catalina. You can tell her.
I'll pass that on. Yeah.
The sacrifices we make.
Sorry, Stephen, I go, please.
No, I was just going to flip to 2025 when you spoke about DNFs. Jack, and if you didn't mind us going there, it's always as interesting to hear about the experiences when it doesn't go so good. And to be honest, I and John can probably relate to them more than the successes. But 2025, what was the script?
So everything went well up to the start line. You know, I had a proper taper. I wasn't ill. Everything had all the green lights. And then I started, and one thing I wanted to do this year was be in touch with the front, because I didn't feel like I raced last year. I managed to get quite a decent result, but as I said, was never really racing. I just kind of soldiered on through, and it happened. And yeah, I was hoping that maybe if I perform well, like a top 10 performance could potentially, be possible. So I kind of had that goal in mind. And yeah, I have to start my ITRA score is particularly low. And it's something I actually need to kind of fix, actually. Because it's I'm not even classed as an elite most time when I enter races. Anyway, so I have to start in the elite 2 pen, which is like quite far back. And when the guys, when the start line goes off, it's very easy to lose touch with everybody in front immediately. So my plan was basically to get to the front of that elite 2 pen and then at least try and stay in touch. I don't need to be at the front, but I need to be in touch with some people that, are competitive, let's say. So I kind of ran in the like second-ish pack. So I came into Le Contamines in quite a decent time and felt absolutely fine. So the start went perfectly. And yeah, it was then time to head up into the mountains. So I put a long sleeve on, put a head buff, a neck buff, my rain jacket. And in the Contamines, it was about 13 degrees at that point, although raining, but that's, quite a reasonable temperature. But basically, yeah, after I left the Contamines, it got pretty cold in that next section. And I mean, I was getting quite cold, but not. It was manageable. My hands were getting a bit cold. I'd put on my gloves and my waterproof gloves, and I ran past. I caught up with Hayden Hawkes, who I'm quite good friends with now, because he's coached by Robbie as well. And he was he turned to me and was like, "I'm really, really cold, man," and I tried to kind of like motivate him, and because you've got that next aid station on that descent down there, and I said, "Come on, you'll be fine. Let's get down to the next aid station." But he was already past the point. He was getting too cold. So I was a bit warmer at that point. I was okay. Got down to that next aid station, got some drinks, and left to get out of there. And that next section after there is where you head up into the mountains for a bit longer. So then your next main aid station after that would be Courmayeur. And so I'd got a bit cold up there where I saw Hayden, but then as I descended, it was warm enough again. So I didn't feel like I needed to change anything with my clothing. But actually, after I left that aid station and I started climbing, I started to get cold again. And then I thought to myself, "Oh, I'm a bit chilly, but I'm moving. If I keep moving at this pace, I'm fine." And then actually, I started to just get colder and colder and colder, despite moving. And I was like, "Okay, now I'm in a bit of trouble because now I actually need to put more clothes on." But at this point, it was raining heavily and windy. And I was thinking, okay, so if I want to put more clothes on, I've got to stop, take my rain jacket off, put more layers on, and then put my rain jacket back on. My hands are cold, it's windy, and I think if I stopped at that moment, I would just immediately cool out. And I felt like I can't stop. I cannot stop moving because I'll just get too cold in putting my layers on. So I thought, okay, well, the only choice is to carry on until I at least have some form of shelter from the wind or shelter from the rain, to be able to put my layers on. And then that shelter just didn't arrive, and I was just getting colder and colder and colder. And then and then the rain turned to snow, and then I was in trouble, actually. And then there was a runner that came up behind me, and we spoke, and that was Philip Ausserhofer, and he's from South Tyrol, so fairly near, lives fairly near me. And he was in exactly the same position, so he wanted to put more layers on, but didn't feel like he could. And so we decided, and we were both, shivering at this point. So we decided to stick together until we found shelter to put more layers on. And we got to the top of that climb, and there was like a metal emergency hut there. And we both went into the hut to get changed. And the moment we stopped, we both started vigorously shaking, uncontrollably. And so we were both genuinely quite scared at that point. And yeah, so then we kind of helped each other get everything out of our bags and put them on, because we couldn't even do our own zips. It was easier for me to do his zips and for him to do my zips, and quite funny, really. But yeah, so we helped each other. We put every layer on that we had in our bags. We got under our safety blankets. There was another blanket in the hut. Then we both got under that same blanket and hugged, basically. And yeah, just rubbed each other's backs until we basically warmed up enough. So there were a lot of jokes going around that Philip's my new Italian boyfriend. But yeah, we definitely shared a moment there, let's say. But we did exactly what you should do in that situation, and it was quite scary, really.
Very lucky you were both together, though.
Yeah.
To share that experience rather than be on your own, because then you might not be able to get any gear on.
Do you know, I think if I was on my own and I'd had to get changed on my own, it would have been a lot worse, and I'd have really struggled, and so would have he. Because you're like not just shaking a little bit, but like full on shaking. You can't. Yeah, it's very difficult to do anything, and also we took our wet layers off as well, and you've got to do that quite quickly, because then you're standing at the top of the mountain without a shirt. So yeah, it was very good that we were together, and at that point it was a survival situation. And but I didn't think that I was necessarily out the race at that point. I was conscious of wasting what felt like the time ticking away. But I thought once I warmed up, I'd be fine. And my legs were good until that point, and I was moving quite well. But the moment I stepped out of the hut and we started to descend, I was like, oh no, my legs are completely gone. And it was because I assume it was because all the blood had left my legs in order to warm my body. And so my muscles suddenly just weren't functioning as they should be. And then one of my knees, which I'd had an injury from earlier in the season, then started to hurt. And I think it was probably just because my gait suddenly changed, because my muscles weren't functioning correctly to keep my gait moving nicely. So I was ruined by that point, and I just kind of crawled the 15K back to Courmayeur, and then told Catalina that there's not really any point carrying on.
Oh, so you went back the way?
No, to Courmayeur.
To Courmayeur.
To Courmayeur, right. To 80K. Yeah.
So were you hypothermic? Was that? Or were you past?
I think that's borderline hypothermic.
Yeah.
And I think we just sorted ourselves out in time, basically.
Yeah, caught it by the nick of time. And did your pal under the blanket? Did he also DNF at the same time?
He finished.
Did he?
He finished it, but in a non-competitive time.
I think
Maybe like, I can't remember what exactly was. Could have been like 27 hours or something like that. But he's DNF'd. That was his 4th time at UTMB, and he DNF'd every time before that.
Really?
So I think in his head he was like, I am finishing it no matter what.
Yeah, and perhaps if
yeah.
you had the same, situation, you'd had your finish the year before,
Yeah,
perhaps your mind would have been a
could have
bit
could have
different.
could have been different. But yeah, my legs were just totally destroyed. I was in a world of pain.
Done in.
And and my knee was actually like, not just, I'm not just talking about sore legs, but my knee was genuinely in pain. And I was
Mhm.
like, if I carry on now, it's going to take me about 30 hours, and it's going to
Yep.
be horrible, and I'm probably going to it's going to take me weeks and weeks to recover,
Mhm.
and I might even be injured.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Thing
Correct
is,
decision for a lot of reasons.
100%. But the thing is, for Philippe,
yeah,
I'd be very surprised if he's experienced conditions like that in his previous attempts where he DNF'd. He must have had some bloody drive within him to get that done. So fair play to Philippe.
fair play to him.
You
Yeah,
know,
fair
yeah,
play to him.
and I think it's different too, Jack. If it was me, I'd be going, I finished 25th last year. Fuck this, I'm out of here. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah, yeah.
so, do you have a niche to scratch with UTMB?
Yeah, I'm qualified already for next year.
Okay.
So I'll be going back, and yeah, I want to put in a decent performance there.
Okay, good.
Yeah, listen, thanks so much for sharing that whole story with us. I think there's like lessons to be learned for a lot of, for me,
Oh
for
yeah,
John, for listeners and stuff like that in terms of how you dealt with it, and also, how you're dealing with the aftermath. You can say, well, no, actually, it was the right decision. I've lived to tell the tale, and I'm
yeah,
no injured. I'm back training. I'm back focusing on my next race. But thanks for the honest assessment as well, because sometimes we didn't hear about that, and especially from guys and gals who are at that level. I must say, you spoke about your ITRA score, and we're
yeah,
going to be honest. We didn't really look at ITRA scores because
yeah,
do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah,
to hear that coming from somebody who's concerned at that sort of end of the spectrum,
yeah,
it's really refreshing. So
yeah,
appreciate that, Jack.
yeah. No
On
worries.
to back, flip it again, John. Back to the
Well,
script, our
yeah,
script.
yeah, yeah. I think we spoke about UTMB, and I also echo what Stephen's saying. Really appreciate your honesty. Is something you've just described, and also love the fact that you're already thinking, or you're going back next year. But then a race that we have spoken about, I forget the race director's name. Stephen will correct. I'll find it.
Fergie.
Fergie from Art of Attrition, Arc of
Oh yeah,
Attrition,
yeah,
with Fergie on. It was brilliant, and I still remember that triple Mr. Brightside thing that he was on about playing at the end of the race. But Arc of Attrition, just after Fergie was on with us, it was nothing to do with us. UTMB came along and sort
Gobbled
of
it up.
they took over that sort of that gig. But it is a very popular race, not
yeah.
just here in the UK. It attracts a lot of international attention as well. You finished fourth at Arc of Attrition.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was your journey like from UTMB 24
Mm-hmm.
to Arc of Attrition 25?
Yeah, well, in order to get ready for Arc of Attrition, then you've got to do some decent training through the winter months, obviously,
Mhm.
because it's a
Mm.
winter race. And that was quite challenging, I have to say, because obviously I live in a ski resort here, and the Arc of Attrition, you've basically got, it's constant climbing and descending, but the
Mhm.
climbs are only about 100 meters high. So that was quite difficult to train for here when it was snowing, in
Mm.
particular.
Yep.
And so, like, flatter or faster intervals were difficult because sometimes the roads were just really extremely icy. Because I don't have a treadmill, I need to get a
Ah.
treadmill.
Mhm.
Um, so that was quite awkward. And then when you run in the snow, it's not, you're just not moving the same as you would be if you were on hard ground. You know, your feet are sinking in, so neuromuscularly, it's
Well
just,
said.
yeah, kind of, yeah. Um, it's just not the same. So it was quite difficult to train for that. I have to say. And to be honest, I was actually going through a very, very stressful time during that period because, well, I was playing music with someone else for many years, and we ended up splitting up basically. And we owned a company together, and then we had to split that company, and it just went. It became way more difficult than it should have done. It should have been easy, but unfortunately, it became like a divorce. It was really it was terrible, honestly. So that was one of the most stressful periods of my life, because there was all legal stuff with assets and just horrible things to deal with. So even on the flight over to the UK for the Arc of Attrition, I was still receiving emails back and forth, and it was just, it was very, very stressful time. And I actually think that affected, I think that affected my training, my recovery, and then as a result, actually my race performance at Arc of Attrition. Um, and the one way that it affected me was, I'm normally very good at doing a nutrition plan, and I do it very detailed, and I think about the race a lot, and I look at all the climbs and just bring in all the factors and get a really solid nutrition plan. And I have backup plans for if it's cold and backup plans for if it's hot. And like in the Mozart, I implemented the backup plan because it was cold, and Catalina knew the backup plan and everything, in terms of hydration and things. And because I was stressed and dealing with something that I didn't really want to be dealing with, I just didn't give the race the amount of energy and thought that I would normally put towards a race. So yeah, I didn't even build a nutrition plan. I kind of just thought, oh, okay, the race is about this long. I probably need roughly this many carbs per hour. Maybe I can get between aid stations on one bottle or whatever, and just didn't really think about it. And so I made a bad nutrition plan or no nutrition plan, and that kind of messed me up in the race because I was expecting there to be gels in the last aid stations, and I was going to use those gels. There weren't any gels, and yeah, so I basically ran the race on less fuel than I normally would run it on. And probably it's a very intense race, especially at the front end of the field. And there was Tom Evans, Hugh Chatfield, and Keith Wigley who were all pushing the pace, and I was with them at the beginning. But yeah, then I kind of dropped back a bit, and then didn't have enough fuel, and yeah, I messed it up basically. And yeah, so I guess the moral of the story is, like, you need to keep these stressful things in your life can really have a big effect on your training overall, and then can really affect your races. So yeah, you really want to try and give the race the focus that it deserves.
But then when a life event comes along, which it was,
and
you've got to deal with that,
yeah,
don't you? You've
yeah,
got to deal with
had
that.
to be done. It had to be done. Yeah.
Yeah. So to go across, did running at that time give you an escape from that life event that was happening mentally?
Well, actually, no, because it kept popping into my head. It was haunting me, because this guy was like has been my best mate since school, and now we don't even talk. We're not even on talking terms. He's a very black and white person, and I'm either his friend or his enemy. And now I'm his enemy, which is awful. It's not how I wanted it to go,
Yeah.
but it's how it ended up. And it's really a shame. But yeah, even to this day now, it still haunts me, actually. And so he still pops into my mind, and all the all the horrible sort of negative energy. Yeah, and that's the thing, because when I'm running, that's when I start sort of pondering things, and that can be positive or negative. But sometimes these thoughts of this whole divorce then pop back into my head. So yeah, it's actually kind of a process. I need to yeah, I guess I'm somewhat traumatized by the whole situation.
Yeah, but listen, man, you're talking about a lifetime relationship there.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
yeah, it takes some time just to, and hopefully running will help. And these you'll ponder things and work through some stuff for
It
yourself. You know,
probably helps in the sense, as you said, that then I am actually processing it.
Yeah.
But at the
Hmm.
same time, that's the time when I am thinking about it, and what I want to do in the end is not think about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is arc of attrition an itch to be scratched?
Yeah, it's not on my priority list at the moment, but yeah, I did enjoy the race. I just found the winter training difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before I go and do another race during the winter, I need to get a treadmill.
Yeah.
Just to avoid icy roads and whatnot.
Christmas is coming.
I'm just wondering
Christmas
if there's
is
any treadmill companies looking for an ambassador.
I know, yeah, that would be ideal.
Let's just be honest here.
Yeah. Put
That
some
would be great.
trail skin stickers on the side of it. It would be
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll give
yeah,
you some Young Hearts Run free stickers for the side of it also.
yeah.
But I want to pick up on something you said about how it sounded very detailed nutrition plans, and you'd already spoken about the precision hydration
Yeah.
being your sponsored athlete. I'm not sure what the terms are.
Yeah. Whatever,
Jack, John and I are both big fans of their products as well, and also they kitted us out in quite a fetching costume at one point, too, which made us the centre of attention. Which is,
did you get the shirts, the fancy shirts?
Yes, we've got the fancy shirts and shorts.
And shorts, what, the matching, like matching
Yeah,
shirt and shorts?
yeah. However, somebody, Bunty, christened us bananas and pajamas, and that seems to have stuck. So
Yeah,
there
really.
we go.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay, where was I going? I was asking Jack about so you're obviously a big fan of their products. You wouldn't be an ambassador otherwise. But is your plan A, gels and carb drinks, and plan B something else, if you don't mind me asking, as in solid foods or?
I don't tend to eat solid foods so much
Okay.
during races. Yeah, I feel like the gels just work very well for me.
Excellent.
And yeah, upon Precision Fuel and Hydration's advice, I've done a lot of stomach training.
Right.
So I will use them a lot. So I will do quite a few long runs with full race nutrition. And I do think your stomach is very trainable in that respect. So yeah, that's something that I do, and because I feel like if you can get the gels in, if you can fuel that way, it is the best and easiest, most efficient. But it's not that. Some people find that hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, so for UTMB, every race I've done, I basically just only gels. UTMB, I think I had like a couple of bites of a banana,
Right.
and that's it, and that works for me. Yeah.
No one, well, like John said, we've had Robbie on the podcast a few times, and he's also very intelligent about his carb intake and how much it tweaks. And you spoke about, you also, if it's a warm or a cold day, you're taking that into account when you're thinking about. I'm assuming the energy consumption is going to be different depending upon the conditions, etc. With regards to the gels, this is actually a question there for myself. Do you use the small gels? Do you use the 90-gram pouch, or do you put them into your soft flasks? How do you onboard them?
I'm using the flow gels now. So that's what you put in the soft flasks.
Yep.
And I find that it's just brilliant because you don't have to unscrew anything. You don't have to rip anything open.
Yeah.
Because I used the 90 gels for quite a while until the flow gel came out.
Yep.
And I liked the 90 gels because I I think I like the simplicity of the fact that I could basically be like, okay, that's 90 grams, so I'm gonna have that in an hour.
Yep.
And then I've got my drinks as well, and that tops me up to. I was normally in the range of like 105 to 110 grams per hour
Okay.
at that point, and that was cool. But then I switched to the flow gels because now I don't even need to unscrew that, because if you drop the top, for example, you've got to find it on the floor, otherwise you've got this open pack of gel.
Yep.
But having it in the soft flasks, I find brilliant because you just grab it, have a few sips. And I'll tell you what else is really good with the flow gel. So I'm actually coaching an athlete that's got type 2 diabetes.
Uh-huh.
And so when he's fueling, he has to just be careful with his blood sugar levels, and he can have spikes and drops. And I put him onto the flow gel because I said, you can then really adjust how much you're taking. You can have one tiny sip every 5 minutes if you want to, or because if you have a normal gel, you've got to have you can't leave it open. You've got to have 30 grams.
Yeah, you're tanking it.
In it, yeah. I suppose you could do the same thing with the 90 gels as well. But anyway, yeah. So he did his first 50k race recently, and he said that the flow gel was an absolute game changer. I hate using that phrase, but
it's okay. It's
people
true
know
in
what
this
you mean.
occasion.
Yeah. But it worked really well for him. So I find that really cool because just for a person that doesn't have diabetes, you could, if you need a bit more fuel for the uphills, so you can take like the same amount as a normal gel, roughly a few extra sips, just as you're fueling on an uphill. On a downhill, you don't need as many carbs, so you might just still have just a sip every now and again, so you can just really modulate how much you're taking very, very, very well.
I almost compare it to almost like having like an intravenous drip that's adjustable. You're just putting in, and rather than whacking that whole gel in a 1 hour, or even with a 90, you could get a wee bit excited and maybe just, oh, that's actually tasting all right, and put too much in. It's just that, okay, make it habit. Whether I'm going up here, by the way, because that's where I have.
Do you use the flow gel as well then?
So I've not got in the habit of using it. I've been using the 90-gram gel, but in much the same way. Do you know, almost like having like one in each side of my race vest, and then just like just getting in the habit of doing it rather than going, okay, there's 20 minutes, I better take another gel.
Yeah.
Just kind of taking it over the duration of an hour.
Yeah.
Rather than sort of on a timer on my watch, and just making that sort of behavior change.
Yes,
I'm not there yet, by the way, but I like the idea.
We should also say that Precision Hydration on their website, you can go on their website and everybody can get a free nutrition plan just by putting in what your distance of your race is, what energy you think you're going to, what exertion you're going to be doing. They will give you a rough idea. It's a fantastic resource. So maybe we can put a link to that in as well. Jack's the first person that's used that I can remember. People have spoke about running and testing gels and nutrition, but Jack's used the term stomach training, which I think is brilliant because people know what you mean by that. We're running to get physically as fit as we can, but you've got to get fuel in the tank. So you've got to practice that. And stomach training, I think, is a great phrase to do that. And also this conversation that Stephen's just been having with you, Jack, about rather than whacking a gel in, there's technology, there's things there now that you don't have to just take all of one gel. There's things you can do, and you're talking about your client that's got, your athlete that's got type 2 diabetes. For somebody to manage that and go out and complete a 50k race, that's quite brilliant. So it's working, but everybody's, again, it's an individual thing, isn't it, for everybody?
It's an individual thing, absolutely, yeah. And the other thing, just to touch on because you mentioned about the precision fuel and hydration, how you can go do that, fill in that thing online, is just the marketing that they spend their money on is not the marketing that other brands spend their money on. A lot of brands, they'll put on like a fancy kind of advert and like, use buzzwords like game changer and all that rubbish, like, you know, classic marketing. But they spend their money on like knowledge, providing knowledge to the athletes, which I think is fantastic. So if you go on their website, there's loads and loads of different articles about how to use caffeine, how to hydrate, how to test your sweat rate, all sorts of different things. And there's so much knowledge on there, and they're very much as a company focused on that. And I think that's very refreshing, and it's just incredibly helpful.
I
So
think
I learned a lot from them, I have to say.
I think it's also very rare that companies do that.
Very.
And Precision Hydration on their social media, it's almost like they're letting all the secrets out. You know, it's just like
Yeah.
they're going, here you go, here's the information.
Yeah.
Here's an athlete that ran this race. This was the nutrition and hydration plan that they used, and this is how it worked for them. So it's brilliant. I think, yeah, kudos to them as well for doing that. I'm a big fan of that. Big fan of that.
Yeah.
We're rattling to it. What's next for you, Jack? What are you doing next?
So I'm actually on Sunday. I'm gonna run the Polven Trail, which is that first one that I mentioned that Crazy Dave took me round. So I haven't run that in years. Well, I haven't run it as a race, let's say, in years. And I've never tried to run that route fast. I've done it loads of times in training, but just as a kind of long run. And I'm so focused on the long stuff. So I'm not used to like 20K trail races where you just kind of red line from the beginning and hope for the best. And there are always some fast guys that are racing, but it's part of a 3-day stage race, as I mentioned before. And I'm not doing the 3 days. You don't have to. So I'm just doing it as a train through race. So I'm training all this week, and then on Sunday doing the race, and just I kind of feel like the fact that the others they'll have 40K in their legs from the day before, so I might have a chance against those really, because I'm the guys there. There are guys that I would always expect to beat me on that distance, like Thomas Roach. Do you know Thomas Roach?
Had the name, yeah.
Yep.
You know the name, yeah. And beforehand, Robbie Simpson, he's run that race. He's won it a few times, and yeah, there's always some really fast guys there. But I feel like if I'm a bit fresher than them, maybe I have a chance. But it should be fun because, like, I'm not used to those type of races. So I'm doing that as a train through, and then I managed to get a place at Les Templiers in the south of France. So I'm going to do the endurance trail, so I'm going to do one more 100K this year. So that's on the 17th of October.
Just round the corner.
Just a couple of weeks. We should have asked this question. I apologise for not doing so. Your recovery after UTMB, was it days, weeks? How did you feel?
Yeah, it took me a little longer than I normally would recover from, let's say, an 80-kilometer distance. That's how far I ran in the end. But because my muscles were just a bit more destroyed than they normally would be, in the days after UTMB, I almost felt like I'd run the whole loop. So I'm good now. At least I think I am. But yeah, we definitely respected the recovery.
Sunday will tell.
Sunday will tell. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, no, that's good to hear, and it's also good to hear that you're treating it that way. You give your body time to recover, because every race that you go at hard, it's almost like your body's recovering from a trauma. But I think there was a bit of a trauma, a real life trauma built in there. Yeah, so you've got to recover from that.
Yes,
brilliant.
Absolutely.
Stephen, we've got a wee bit of quick fire stuff here, haven't we?
We do. Quick fire round, Jack. Can I get us underway? Are you ready?
All right,
John,
go on
start the timer.
3-2-1.
Your favourite piece of running gear that you can't live without?
The naked running belt.
That's the 360 thing, isn't it? You can stack loads of stuff in that.
Yeah, but it's they're great because they make, I think they make either 12 or 14 different sizes. So if you follow their instructions on the website, you measure yourself properly. how they explain to do it, and then you get the perfect size. So it's a running belt that really fits well if you get the right size.
Go-to pre-race meal.
Like a proper meal, or like a morning breakfast before the race? Like, not the night before. Are we talking morning breakfast?
Both. Night
Both,
before.
yeah.
Okay, so night before, rice and chicken.
Rice and chicken. Breakfast.
Breakfast, I normally eat 2 Morton bars. So that's 80. They're 40 grams of carbs each. 80 grams of carbs 2 hours before the race.
One piece of advice for someone thinking about running their first ultra.
Just do some research on fueling. A lot of people that aren't doing ultras don't think about fueling too much. I've got an athlete that before he was with me, he just used to basically just eat a few orange segments at aid stations, and now he fuels with 90 grams of carbs per hour. So
Game changer.
Yeah, game changer. Yeah.
If you could run with one person, one athlete, past or present, who would it be?
I'm a big fangirl of of Jim Walmsley, I have to say. So it'd be cool to. I've already met one of my heroes, Hayden Hawks, who I'm now actually good friends with. But yeah, it would be cool to meet Jim as well.
Jimbo, if you're listening.
Yeah, I was so hoping it was going to be Crazy Dave, man. Anyway.
Oh, I would love to go for a run with Crazy Dave again, but he crewed me at the last few aid stations at UTMB in 2024. But he's gone back to New Zealand now, so I have to.
And I was going to ask if you're still in touch with Crazy Dave, because he's got a lot to answer for. That guy.
He has, yeah.
Plenty good trail races in New Zealand.
Yes, I will go visit him. Yeah, he's a great guy with just a very good energy. He was the perfect person to have at the aid stations at the end. Every time I was going out of an aid station, he was slapping my ass and like just saying funny stuff. He's a brilliant person.
Sounds it.
Everybody needs a Crazy Dave.
That's the end.
Crazy Dave. Absolutely.
That's the end of our quick fire round.
Okay.
Thank you for participating,
no worries.
Mr. Chamberlain. Yeah. we do finish the podcast with 2 traditional questions. Yeah.
Okay,
the first one comes from me, and it's a phrase or term for sticking our dialect dictionary. So a favourite phrase from where you came from that you've picked up along the way, something that's a bit quirky. Do you have something for us?
Can I give you an Austrian one?
Absolutely. It would be the first Austrian one. So we love a first.
The Tyrolean dialect, they say bastion. And that means like, it's basically like saying, so they're saying past schon. So they're saying like, it's okay or already, kind of. But it's basically like said, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, bastion.
Batter on.
Yeah, it's just bastion.
Bastion,
yeah. So they're basically just going, yeah, it's fine.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
No
Begins
worries.
with a B. I've got that, eh? Put it under B's.
What's that?
It begins with a B or a P.
It sounds like it begins with a B, but it actually begins with a P when you write it down. Past.
Okay.
Because if you were like speaking proper German, you said past schon.
Okay.
Yeah, but the Tyrolean farmer dialect is very strong here.
It's an area of language that I need to get into, is the Tyrolean farm dialect.
Mate, it's solid. It's a horrible place to learn German. Can
it relate to, like, in Scotland we'd call that the northeast?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's quite a grand
draw
bit.
some parallels, yeah.
I can feel the northeast of Scotland shaking right now.
Yeah.
There's still no spicking. So thank you for that. That is submitted into the dialect dictionary, Jack. John.
Yeah, well, this is a first. Jack's had a live music bar. So Jack's got
a musician.
And as a musician, it plays. So we have, I think we're on volume 10, playlist volume 10. We never started this until, or maybe it's 11. season 3, we started the playlist for the Young Hearts from Free listeners. So we have a playlist that gets added to every season. It can be a track. It might be an original track, Jack, from yourself. It's totally up to you. What track would you like to share with the Young Hearts from Free
It's on
listeners?
Spotify.
So, yeah. I prepared 2 in case you got my first one already.
Okay.
Or you can have 2 if you want. But yeah, the first one I thought would be "Send Me on My Way" by Rusted Root.
Ah, brilliant.
You know
On
it?
my way.
Yes,
On my way.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The end of Matilda.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a great tune.
Brilliant.
That hasn't featured before.
There you
I
go,
don't
then.
think,
That'll do then. won't it?
John. However,
No, give us a
let's hear
second
your-
one.
Yeah, you're not
The
getting away
second
with
one
the second one.
is "When the Night Feels My." Is it called "Feels My Song" or "Feels My Soul"? I think it's called
Bedouin,
"When the Night Feels My Song" by Bedouin Soundclash.
2 belters.
Yeah.
We'll have to
feels
have
my
a
song.
committee meeting, Stephen, to see what one goes at the end of the episode.
Yeah, I know we will. We play out with one of those songs. So yeah, that
Okay.
will
If
go.
you had a preference, Jack, which song would you choose to play out this episode?
Oh God, they're both great songs. I don't know. Flip a coin.
Okay, we'll sort it
Well,
out. Maybe we'll
that-
We'll
battle
give.
both.
yeah.
Let's say Rusted Root is heads. Bedouin
Okay.
Soundclash is tails.
I do carry coin, Stephen. You got a coin. I can do this. I've
I
got
don't
an.
have a coin.
I've got
I
a
do have a
coaster.
coin.
Okay,
Or
You want me to
Jack's
flip an
got a
extra coin?
coin.
right, Jack, let's
Okay,
go
wait.
for it.
Is it an Austrian
It
coin?
doesn't actually have heads. It's got. Wait, where's my camera? I've got
Okay.
10 cents on one side and then
Yep.
something else on the other. So we'll say
Okay.
the 10 cents is heads, shall we?
Yep.
Or did I say Rusted Root is heads?
Yep.
I'll do the flip. It's tails. So we've got Bedouin Sound.
Bedouin Sound.
When the Night
Okay.
Feels My Song.
Which is an absolute stoter, belter.
There you go.
Great tune. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Jack Chamberlain, this has been a fantastic chat. Speaking to somebody at that front end of the pack is always an honour and a privilege. And thank you very much for your time. It's been
Thank you, John.
absolutely fascinating. And thank you so much for speaking so open and honestly about UTMB this year. And that was brilliant. But I loved hearing about UTMB last year and that race. You can tell it's filled you with great pride. And then the Mozart 100 as well. And I wish you all the very best. I'm going to hand over to Stephen for a final cheerio, but I wish you all the very best for Sunday and also for that race you've got on the 17th of October. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, just echoing what John said, Jack. I think you said earlier around about sort of how much you've learned from your coach and how you're now passing that wisdom on. And we know that Robbie is a man of great wisdom and a good bit of humour as well. So yeah, you're definitely doing that, and you've shared some real insightful stuff with us this evening that's going to go down and land really well with our listeners. And thanks again for that really honest assessment of your DNF this year, because I know that that's relatively recently. I know that you would have put a whole lot of emotion and energy into that training block, so we really appreciate that. And big shout out for Catalina as well. She sounds like she's the best supporters for you and your kids as well. So
yeah, she is.
Thanks so much. It's been great to meet you, Jack.
Yeah, really nice to meet you guys as well. Thank you.